Remember this guy? Well, here's take 2 because my brain couldn't decide which one it wanted to do. Wait a second, did I just rhyme? Hello, fellow doodlers. Welcome back to another session where I ramble to you about my art process and any other tangents that I go off on. The ramblings today is about the second version of a back art concept that I was previously working on. If you're curious about version 1, I am linking it in the description below if you're curious. And yeah, so today is purely version 2 because my brain could not decide on what the final concept was. And so I was like, okay, why make decisions when you can have both, right? I mean, for art. Just art, not other parts of life, people. But anywho, you ever get that same feeling where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and then you remember that you're an adult and that you can make decisions, and so you just go with both. So that was what happened here. To essentially sum up what you've been seeing so far is I filled part of the ground and also the rendered layer with red, and now I'm just going back in to erase the parts that I don't want in red. The concept here was inspired by that image I was talking about earlier, where basically it looks like this two-toned art piece of a neutral color that bleeds into the body and a pop color that bleeds into the clothing. And so here I just wanted the red to only bleed into the shirt, and then the cream kind of warm ground to only bleed into the parts of her body, which meant that once again I was stuck erasing a lot of things because my brain decided that it was faster to fill in and then erase rather than just going in rendering. I don't know if it was actually faster, it did not feel faster, but that was the process and I committed. Because at this point in the process, I felt that I was too far in to go back and do it all over again. So yeah, lots of erasing, but honestly, in retrospect, it was a little therapeutic, kind of mindless, so I didn't mind it too much. You might notice that throughout I might be changing brushes a lot or trying different sizes, opacities of brushes, and that's because I am actually getting back into digital art after a long time of not doing it, and so I've basically forgotten all of my favorite brushes from before. So if you guys have any preferences on what type of brushes you like to use, yes you, I am talking to you here. I want to hear what you think. And yeah, just what you like. I am open to all feedback. I might try it, I might not, but I would still like to hear what you think. No promises, people, because we don't make false promises here. But going back to the art, I am going back in and adding the second shade of this pink color that's meant to basically represent the lighter areas of the piece where the light would be hitting her body. Her clothes specifically, and because I didn't want it to look like a flat piece of paper and I wanted to give it some depth, so I was like, let's add some light, let's add some shadows. I don't really know what I'm doing, but we're doing it. And then now I've moved on to the skin section of the piece where I really wanted it to almost blend, her back to almost blend into the background. That's this really pale pinkish color here. And so wherever the light was hitting her body, the edges of her back and then some parts of her forearm, I really wanted to bleed almost into the background, just like how her shirt would be bleeding into the red parts of the ground. At first, I was actually a little bit nervous about the red color, this red-orange that I chose being too bright, but I actually really like the intensity of it in contrast to, the more neutral, calmer skin tones in this piece. And so I actually redid the paler red pinkish sections because I wasn't very happy with the way it was looking before. So yeah, second time's a charm, right? To be honest, in retrospect, I literally see zero difference from how it was before, but you know what? So is the journey of art where you move pixels and nothing might have changed, but at least your heart feels better. At least I hope it does. Well, at least mine does, at the very least. Or maybe that's a coping mechanism. We'll never know, but I am getting distracted again. Back to the art piece. So speaking of pushing pixels, right now I am adding in the shadows of all the creases in the shirt that's being pulled up, and eventually you'll see that I end up doing something completely different from what I'm currently doing right now. But you know, at least you tried. You have to have tried it to know you didn't like it. And so yeah, I tried and I didn't like it, and I ended up just making the entire thing more shadowed because I felt that there wasn't enough places in the shirt that was red, and it didn't look like it was really bleeding into the background enough for my preferences. So then after I completely changed my mind and did the red section over, I went in again and I added an even darker shade of red that is basically a burgundy color to add even more depth into this piece, because I felt that it was feeling a little too flat and I wanted it to feel more dimensional. And drumroll please, this is the final result. I hope you liked my shenanigan ramblings, and I want to know what you think about this piece and what you think about it in comparison to version 1. Again, I'm linking version 1 video art process in the descriptions below. But yeah, let me know what you think. Yes, you, I'm talking to you. And as always, fellow doodlers, if you want to see more of this, hear more of my ramblings, stay tuned, and you can do that by clicking the button. You know what button I'm talking about. So stay tuned, and I'll chat you next time.